I think you guys are muted.
I unmuted myself.
The LCOE room is muted.
Oh,
Guys.
All right, I think we are absolutely ready.
All right.
So if we can go ahead and call this meeting to order, and let's go through so sorry. I was about to go straight into the roll call. So I want to start today with a moment of silence. We've lost somebody from our group, somebody who was a great contributor to the group, created a great atmosphere for us in the group, and showed great leadership in our group to get us to where we are. And I'm speaking of Holly Hanna. She passed unexpectedly. I want to say a month and a half ago. I don't have the exact date, but it's been at least a few weeks, if not more. And I don't want to just go right into our meeting as if nothing happened and we're missing somebody. I want to make sure that we get the chance to let people express themselves if they wish to. Again, Holly was special to us and was part of our team, and we've lost a team member. And I just want to make sure to give some space. I know that, Anna, I'm going to put you on the spot. You probably have the most to say due to your relationship with her, not just here at LCOE and at the COC, but also on a personal level. I just know that it has a great impact on us. It's not just a ripple in the water. It's a tidal wave that occurred when she passed. This was not something any of us expected, and this is somebody who was special to us.
Yeah, she definitely was more than a coworker. She was a friend. She was a vital part of our, especially unaccompanied youth home community. And it's been really hard to adjust. I still find myself wanting to send stupid text messages to her when he needs. But it's been specifically hard checking in with the kids that she was working with to let them know that she was no longer here. So first day at Upper Lake yesterday was specifically very difficult with kids showing up looking for Holly. So we still don't know. Apparently the family is working on a service for her next month in Ukiah possibly. We don't have a lot, but if I find something,
Please let the whole group know, someone can pass that out so we can all be aware of where that is and we can all pay our respects and join.
I put the photo of the chat.
Oh, check out the chat.
Speak some people didn't recognize her name. She went by a different last name on Facebook.
Is there anyone else that wants to speak before we hold a moment of silence? If you're on Zoom, our Teams, I can't see you, and I'm scared to hit the X on top because that might cancel the whole thing. Oh, I just click right there. But please speak freely if you wish to speak on this. So what I will add, and then to me, it's something that I just think is a trait that is always something I look for. Holly worked hard. Holly worked very well at doing what she needed to get done. And she kind of preferred to do it behind the scenes and not really be held up on a pedestal for it. And I always appreciate people who aren't looking to be the one with the cape that everyone sees as the superhero. She just wants to see the community do better, not her get the benefit of what she's doing to do better. And I think that's what we're all here to do. We're all here to do what Holly was doing. So if we could just please have a moment of silence if there's nothing further, and then we'll continue with our meeting. Thank you for that. All right, roll call, please. Melissa.
Bruno Sabatier.
I am here in person.
Doreen Gilmore,
Here in person.
Dustin Lawson,
Here at Hope Center.
Heather Frawley is absent, James Murdoch,
Present in person.
Shannon Kimball Off,
Present in person.
Anna Santana.
Okay.
Brad Rasmussen,
Here in person.
Rachel Parsons is going to be absent as well today. Melissa Kopp, I'm on Zoom. Scott Abbott,
Here in person.
Christina Dalto. Oh, I saw her come in.
Here on web conference, Zoom, Teams.
Whatever this thing
we're
is
at.
called.
Yes, whatever it is.
Barbara Christwitz,
I'm here on Zoom and I would turn on the camera if I could figure out how to do it.
Took
Caitlin
me a while,
Murray,
Barbara, so we'll give you the time.
Only person technically challenged around here.
Say it again, Melissa. I'm sorry, I cut you off.
Caitlin Murray,
Present on Zoom. Or, no, sorry, I'm present in person.
No, you guys can hear us, right?
yes.
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 Okay,
She's here at Hope Center.
Health Center.
All right, Carl Porter. George McKissick,
There.
Janet Taylor,
Here in person.
Maria yes,
She's not here today.
okay. Timothy Cantrell,
Not here today.
Dale Stobie, Teresa Schoen,
Present at Hope Center.
Carissa Smith,
Not here. Not here today.
She's coming.
okay.
Present over Teams.
Nice.
Antoinette Kamalani,
Present. Teams.
Layla Romero,
Present on Teams.
Ben Anderson,
Present in person.
Kate Mather, Brianna Ramirez, Ava Laura,
Present via Teams.
and Wendy Monfrance,
Present in person.
Ronnie Duncan,
Present on Zoom, the internet.
Justin Perez, Kimberly Guerrera, Tiffany Montel, Summer Walker, Angelique Cole,
Present on Teams.
Annie Barnes, Nancy Hernandez, Mary Wilson, I saw her come on. I think she's at the bottom. Deanna Gutierrez,
Sorry, it took me a minute to come off mute. Present on Teams.
and Zena Chow.
Tanya is not.
Thank you, and sorry about that, Zenia.
She's allowed.
Right, that's- That's
So that's all you have. Is there anybody in the room here that was not called that is a member?
I'm sorry, I stepped out.
Oh.
Did you call my name, Melissa? This is Mary.
We saw you, Mary. We knew you were here, and we know
All
you
right.
kind of go in and out depending on if there's students in your room.
Thank you so much.
So I'm Anna Pack. I'm representing Sunrise Special Services. Annie wasn't able to make it. I'm not sure if she was able to notify y'all. But,
Okay.
yeah.
Thank you for being here. And then,
Well, if there's a membership change, because we only have Annie Barnes or Nancy Hernandez, then we need to have an updated membership application.
Okay.
just gonna say the same thing. So, perfect. Thank you, Melissa. I know that we have somebody in the room here, but you're later on in the agenda, so we'll introduce you then. Anyone else that's here?
Tim Chanterman from Public Health asked me to attend this meeting. I'm Alex Kellner, Health Coordinators Program for Maternal Child Adolescent Health.
Okay. I know we have Layla in here. Did we say Layla's name?
Yeah.
Okay.
We
Who
have-
else?
Dustin's hand up in the Zoom room.
Dustin, please. Or
We
Hope
have
Center,
Willow
please.
present. We have Willow present. Her name wasn't called.
Willow, okay.
Thank you.
All right,
Hi,
thank you.
Linda Edstrom, COC consultant.
Anyone else who is on the membership whose name was not called in Teams? All right. Thank you very much. Let's go ahead and go with attendance review, which right now we have none. Melissa, sounds to me like right now we just, I haven't had any highlighted folks that just don't seem to be showing up that are on our attendance list. So I think right now we're doing well. We'll continue to check in. Again, if you don't show up for 3 times, we'll come after you. We'll come find you. Additions or changes to the agenda. Anyone wish to make any changes? Please don't. It is pretty jam-packed. But it's not as scary as it looks. Most of it is information. We ask to be informed so that we can get through our presentations. So our first action on item 2.5 will be the approval of the May 1st, 2025 meeting minutes. There is no June meeting minutes that were made available. Was that your comment?
No, the correction. I was marked as absent, but I was present.
Oh, so sorry. We did notice. So if
The
we can
June
make that
minutes were-
correction,
The June minutes weren't available?
the June meeting minutes were not available online. And I think we need to make sure that what's emailed and what's online matches, as a agency, we need to make sure that that's there. So that's okay. We'll move the June one to the following month. For the May one, if there's no other comments or changes, so make sure Ben was here and not absent for May. And then if we can just check the spelling for Rachel Parsons.
Okay.
There's multiple ways to spell Rachel, and we found a lot of different ways. Those are the only changes. If there is nothing further, if I can get a motion to approve the May meeting minutes.
I
As
motion
amended.
to. I
As
motion.
amended.
Okay.
Okay, did you get that, Melissa?
No, I didn't. Who made the motion?
Who made the motion online?
I did. Diana.
Diana, and then we have, goodness gracious, I'm at a loss. I'm so sorry. Wendy. Somebody slap me.
Call me anything.
Wendy with a second. All in favor? Aye. Any
Aye.
opposed? Motion carries. That was embarrassing. All right. I don't know if you ever saw me when I could not remember Moak's name during a Board of Supervisors meeting.
One day I want to go
I
back
was
and
like,
watch.
You. Anyway, moving on. June action items. I'm gonna skip these. I don't think there's anything that we need to do with that, Melissa. Bring
No,
updated
there
COC
isn't.
May meeting minutes for approval. We got that. Send email reminders for applicants, notifying them of membership process responsibilities. I think we got that, right?
Yes.
Okay. So moving to 2.6, if we end up talking about contracts, which we will in the executive committee, not necessarily in this meeting, just please recuse yourself from the room as if we're talking about your contract or funding that may go to your agency. We want to make sure to not have any conflict of interest with who's engaged in those conversations. Public comments. I want to open it up for public comment for anything related to the COC that is not on our current agenda. Anybody have anything they wish to share? I see, I believe, a hand up from Carissa.
Hi, everybody. I just wanted to announce that I know it's hot outside, but we've already started planning our Compassion in the Cold meeting. We've selected a date. It's going to be on December 18th from 4 to 7 p.m. at Hope Center. We have a flyer that we're just waiting for approval on, and then we'll get that out. Compassion in the Cold is the National Persons Experiencing Homelessness Memorial Day that across the nation, COCs and service providers are encouraged to hold a Memorial Day, honoring the lives lost to homelessness in the past year and bringing raising awareness to end homelessness. This will be the third annual one that Adventist Health has taken on. We serve chili, hot drinks. We'll be collecting jackets and blankets to hand out. We really want to encourage everyone across the lake to participate. I know that we're all in this work deeply impacted by the lives lost of the people that we serve. I've sent Melissa out the meeting invite, so you're all invited to participate in the planning committee with us. And we have a little while till December, so I hope that many of you across the lake can join, and we can all come together to raise awareness and remember the lives that we've lost in the past year. And as soon as I get the flyer approved, we'll get that out to Melissa as well. We don't have it yet, but December 18th is the date from 4 to 7 p.m. at Hope Center.
Thank you very much, Carissa. Anyone else? Please.
I had something quick I wanted to share. So Behavioral Health has a new radio show called Recovery Radio that is every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Last week we had Bruno on to talk about the COC, and it was pretty awesome. I feel like we probably could have done another couple of episodes, not even just one more episode. I feel like we could get a couple more. So we'll probably draw you back in, and I will be reaching out to individuals in this room because we're using a very broad definition of recovery and the way that impacts our community. So a lot of the people who are here are working with folks in recovery, whether that be from trauma, grief, anything, physical ailments, things like that. We're really trying to just have a broad definition. So I'll be reaching out to some of you guys. And it was really great having Bruno on board. So thank you.
It was fun. Very fun. All right. If there's nothing further, we're going to move on to item 3.11. I don't really want to spend too much time here. I think this is more of a heads up and a understanding that what is expected of us is changing. What we do doesn't necessarily have to change, but maybe there's ways to align so that we don't get any hits to our funding. I know that so basically, as you can see, it's the United States executive order that used some very old language in the way that it portrayed homelessness, kind of portrayed homelessness as a crime, that those that are homeless are basically criminals and drug addicts, like very old style approach to this idea of who we are actually serving out there. And we know that's not necessarily the case. Yes, some people fall in those categories, but it's not as simple as that from the pit count and all the things that we learn. We are doing things like the Encampment Resolution Fund, which will try to clear out folks from the street into better housing or better situations. So this idea of clearing our streets of such individuals as those that we are serving kind of already fits under there. We're just not doing it in a way that puts them back, going backwards. We're trying to move them going forward. So it's just something that we all need to be aware that there are some changes at the state level in the way that they're asking us to take action. There are changes at the federal level in the way that they're actually asking us to take action. And that, in my opinion, that should be a little bit of fire under our seat to get up and do more, find more funding, and get them in the right places, not in the wrong places. Because jail is not the answer to these issues that we're dealing with. So I just kind of wanted to highlight that, make sure you're aware, and that we'll see what happens. Just like anything at the federal level, executive orders come out, then maybe 3 months later, actions start getting taken. And I don't know what will happen to HUD. I don't know what will happen to our funding. We've already lost a grant. I don't know if we've lost more than a grant, but we've been impacted by some of these changes at the federal level. So just wanted to put that out there. Again, there's the link in the agenda. Please click on it if you want to read it word for word, and we'll bring back anything as things are put in concrete and we know what's going to happen and come down the pipe. And the link is also in the chat for those that want to read it from the chat. Thank you. All right, next item number 4, action items. We have some members here that have filled out our applications and want to become a part of the team. Our first one is Willow Nunez, and Willow is at Hope Center. Is that correct?
Yes.
And so if we can get a brief introduction from Willow and why she would like to become a part of the COC, and then we'll move on to the next person. And at the end, we'll go ahead and vote for the approval of additional members.
Hello, I'm Willow. I was I experienced homelessness from 2021 to 2023. As a youth, I was 18 when I first became homeless, and I think that I would have a pretty good understanding of how what is it, transitional youth would think while they're being homeless. So I think that would be a good contribution.
Right. Thank you, Willow.
Can I ask a question, Willow?
Yeah.
So what are you doing now? What are you working?
Okay, we're going to move on to the next introduction. Thank you, Willow, for your introduction, and thank you for being here. And Julia Carrera, I see you in the back there. If you want to please introduce yourself and why you would like to join the membership of the COC.
Sure. Hi, I'm Julia Carrera. I've been in Lake County for over 50 years, watching it ebb and flow. And more recently, in 2017, started the Upper Lake Community Patrol for safety because of our resident homelessness that travels around the lake, and tried to put together places for them to go that at that time there weren't very many. Fast forward to today. By the way, I have friends that have transitioned in and out of homelessness recently due to the economy. Fast forward even more to today, I'm running for supervisor, and I'm very interested in solving the homeless problem. And actually last year took on a temporary job driving a taxi at night along the 20 to do field research. I happen to be a scientist and research is my bag, and got to know a lot about the homeless people there and the fact that there is a good percentage that want to remain homeless and want to further my work, particularly since it's one of my priority factors in my candidacy. And this is the best way for me to do that.
Thank you very much. Next, we have Tiffany Hall. I don't know if she was here.
No, she's not here.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and move that to the next month's meeting. I did not see Jermaine Gregoire unless he snuck in.
He actually just messaged me over Jabber. He was trying to, he came to LCOE to join the meeting and was told that there was no meeting scheduled.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
So I was just messaging with him. He said that he came to LCOE to join the meeting, but the office told him that there was no meeting scheduled. So I'm going to send him the meeting invite link and hopefully he can join over Teams.
Okay. And the next one is Deb Shingu. And I don't know if I saw Deb. Melissa, can you talk?
Hello? Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes. At first we couldn't hear you, then you were blasting us, and now I think we found that middle ground. Okay, so what we have here is we have Willow, we have Julia, and those are the two, and I'm looking for a motion to approve them into the membership.
So moved.
We have a motion from Ben.
A second.
I believe that's a second from Hope Center.
Dustin.
Dustin, thank you. I don't know why I'm going blank today. So all in favor? Aye. Any
I,
opposed? Any opposed? Welcome to the team, guys. Thank you very much. I'm going to skip item 4.2 unless, Melissa, there's reasons for me to do that.
We have Carissa with her hand up in the Teams room.
Hello, Carissa.
Hello. I don't know if this is the space to do it or not, but the lived experience group would also like to nominate Willow as the youth lived experience chair. I don't know if we have to vote on that.
I think we would have to put that on the agenda. And is Dustin the current chair?
Space for two.
For the youth chair.
It's for the youth chair. Gotcha. I don't see it on the agenda, so I think
The way that
Melissa?
our bylaws state that any chair would have to be a member for, I believe, a month. Or we end up nominating, Doreen, I think you would know best. But there's a month process before somebody becomes a chair.
Okay. If somebody can look into that while we move on, and then we can make sure to touch on that before we leave, so everybody knows what the process is. But Melissa, item 4.2, I'm going to skip. Are you okay with that?
Yes.
Okay. So we're going to go back to move on to item 5, presentations. Our first one is the COC annual data presentation. I know Heather is absent today. Melissa, are you able to take this one on?
I can present the data for that we have in HMIS, but I'm not able to present data that we have in the hub.
So would you prefer that we just move that to the next month and move on to the PIT report?
I honestly would like to touch on some of the data in HMIS because of the PIT report. I think it'll end up complementing, the two of them will end up complementing each other really well.
Let's do it.
So, but I'll make it quick. I mean, it's in the agenda, so everybody has access to it. So I have it broken down by organizations as per requested. So this kind of goes over the details of the organizations, and this is not. Okay, this is the organizations, is the projects that they have in HMIS, the type of projects that there are, how many licenses each of the projects or the organizations have total, and then if they are if they participated in the HMIS training, and if they receive funding from us, if they're required to enter data in HMIS or not, and if they're a CalAIM project. And then on the second page, we get into the ethnicity or the equity piece of this. So we have all the projects and all the different races and ethnicities that the project ended up serving for each project type. And there's one more page that didn't make it in here.
I have a question for you, and I had this question when I was reviewing it. What timelines are we speaking of specifically for all of these numbers?
This is for the fiscal year, the 24-25 fiscal year.
So July 1st, 2024 to June 30th, 2025.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, and the main thing I wanted to touch on, besides the the race and ethnicity was the other data that we end up having, and that data speaks more towards the system performance measures, which is between that and the HIC and PIT report. That's how we get funded. But that page did not make it in here. So if you would like, I can pull it up on the spreadsheet that I created, or we can just move on since we have a hefty agenda.
Let's just go ahead and post it up on the, show it, and we'll move through. And I appreciate, providing the data for us.
Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes, now we can.
Okay, so there's the equity. Okay, here is the system performance data and some of the other subpopulations that we have within our county. And so as you can see, again, it ends up being by organization and by the project type. But then we also have the these three columns here are all based on system performance measures. These are some of the things that they look at within the system performance measures. We have total served in column C, how many people stayed in the program throughout the fiscal year in column D. And again, like I really want to stop and highlight the these three sections here within the data. Because again, this is really where we end up getting our system performance measures is based on these three within the data that I'm able to get through the reports that are gathered through HMIS.
And LOT stands for?
Length of time.
Length of time.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, so this is,
Couldn't
yeah,
figure
access to
out the
permanent
arrow.
housing, the length of time people experience homelessness, and then the increased in, or the, if they ended up increasing their income while they're in the project. So I'm gonna pick on Hope Center. I hope you don't mind, Caressa, just because you're up at the top here. So when looking at this data, there's 52 people that were served during the fiscal year. 20 of them are still in the project. They ended up having 8 move to permanent housing, which for some reason that just doesn't really seem right to me based on the information that they provided at meetings. So that's something that I think needs to be called out and looked at further. The median length of time within the program is 138 days. And then 19% of their participants end up increasing their income during the time that they stay there. And so again, you know, if you want, I can go down with every agency. This will be posted online just for transparency purposes. Or we can just move on because of the agenda. It's up to you. I don't mind either way.
It looks like the person sitting next to me is raising her hand on Teams.
I do have a question. On line 6, COC column N, does that represent all entries in coordinated entry or only new entries for the calendar year?
For column N, like N as in Nancy or M as in Mary?
That 25, no, the 25.
The 25,
exactly
okay,
where
the
you are.
tribal affiliation. That is for the fiscal year.
So for the entire year, there are 25 new, or overall there are 25?
It would be overall during that fiscal year. So I don't have the information on whether or not they were already in HMIS before that. That's not a part of this report. It's just for the individuals who are in HMIS during the fiscal year who have a tribal affiliation based on their demographics page.
Great, thank you.
Thank you for that question. I do have a quick question. Do we have a target range that we need in those 3 columns, E, F, and G, in order for HUD to see those numbers as being better? Is there a specific criteria we need to meet?
I don't know if there's a specific target that they would like us to see. The only thing I've ever heard is to keep doing better. But based on the application and what I've gathered from the application, I do think that I don't remember. I don't remember off the top of my head. I'd have to go dive into that. But next month I will be doing the presentation on system performance measures to be able to give more of an overview of the why it's so important to gather this data when it comes to HUD at least.
And then do you have so this is the fiscal year 24-25. Do you have the 23-24 so we can see and compare and contrast if we are doing better?
I do not, but I can definitely do that. And that's
Yeah,
part
that
of the
would be-
system performance measures too, is they go back 2 years prior to see if there have been any improvements that have taken place. So I do think that maybe a 3-year range for the system performance measures, at least with this kind of data, would be really helpful for the this body to look at to see how we are doing as far as that goes, where we are improving within our data and where we still need to make improvements. I think it also plays into like where we may end up wanting to focus some of our RFPs, our funding, so that way we can start improving in those areas too.
Agreed. If you can provide that for our next month's meeting, that would be great. Thank you. Oh, Carissa, your hand is up.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that Hope Center has housed 17 people this year. And I think where the error is coming from is living in a rural community, as we know, permanent housing options that are affordable can be limited. So sometimes housing gets really creative, and it's relationships being repaired with family members, going and back and living with family that's not getting captured in that data, going into sober living environments like Fran's house or supporting Bright Futures. Those kinds of things aren't getting captured into that data. So I don't know if there's a way that can help, and maybe that's in our HMIS meeting, because in the exit destinations and HMIS, those are captured as housing solutions, not returning to homelessness, but they're not captured in that number.
Yeah, I think that within HMIS, there's anything within the permanent housing section is captured for these numbers here. So if it ends up being a situation where an individual ends up being reunited with their family and they move in with their family, that's still a permanent housing situation.
I think I need to meet
Versus-
with you one-on-one and change how I'm exiting people, and that should fix that number.
Perfect. And this is, I think, why it's important to be able to bring this up at the COC meeting too, for us to be able to look at it and dive into it and really look at the areas where we can make some improvements.
All right. Yes.
Just to add on that, I think moving in with friends and family will show up as an option under the temporary solutions and under the permanent solutions, because if someone's just temporarily going up to family, then you want to capture that. But if they're going to permanently to family, you want to capture that. And I think there's an option under both.
Yes, there is.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you,
And
Sage.
see, I don't know if there's any more hands up on Teams, but if there aren't any more and none here, thank you very much for that.
There's one more thing I would like to highlight, and a lot of this is because of the direction that we're going with coordinated entry, and that's column O, and the number of individuals we have who are chronically homeless. One of the things that we decided as the CES committee was to make individuals who are chronically homeless our top priority for the adult-only assessments, because we recognize how some of the individuals in HMIS, they sometimes, I mean, I've seen up to 12 projects with some of these people going back and forth between the Lakeport Shelter and Hope Center, just bouncing back and forth, going into a motel, experiencing homelessness for a little bit, and then jumping back into a shelter again. So I wanted to point that out as well, to just kind of highlight, I mean, in coordinated entry alone, we've got 104 individuals who are chronically homeless. So that's just something I think is important to highlight.
I feel that requires an extra discussion outside of just this presentation, because there's a lot going through my mind with that comment right there. But thank you for the data. The data helps drive our actions, and we need to keep focused on that. So thank you. All right, we're going to move on to our next presentation. We were told many, many times that it was not the official pit count, but today
That's right.
we are getting the official pit count report. So Shannon came along.
Yes, so if you approve it, it will be the official pit count report. And there are a couple slides that you may wish not to approve, and I will highlight why as I get to them. So let me just start by saying that on January 23rd, 2025, 76 volunteers conducted 311 interviews, 28 observations to tell the story, or at least one part of the story, for 362 Lake County residents currently experiencing homelessness. And so this report is meant to give you some summary data from that. All of these numbers are reported to HUD, except for those questions which we add as part of our own process for the pit count, and I will highlight the difference between those as I move along. I want to acknowledge that the pit count is not a perfect measure of homelessness, and the pit count has a very specific definition of homelessness that frequently does not capture many people that we would consider to be experiencing homelessness but do not qualify for the purpose of the pit count. So an example of that is couch surfing or staying in a hotel, right? These are people that don't get captured in the pit count. If they're in an emergency room the night before the pit count, they don't count on the pit count. So there are all kinds of folks that we legally, per HUD, don't get to capture here. So this is one night on the street or in a place not meant for habitation. That is the core data that the pit count is trying to capture. So that said, I want to also point out that while our preliminary numbers got a lot of objections from people because we saw a decrease in homelessness, our numbers are actually pretty close in line with the state of California. So the state of California has shown that we have very much reduced the increase in homelessness. And so this year we only saw a 3% increase overall, whereas 40 other states had a greater increase in homelessness than Lake County or than California, just as an example. So Florida, Texas, New York, Illinois, and they all saw double-digit increases, so even more. California also saw the nation's largest reduction in veteran homelessness, and you'll see when I get to that part of my report again that our numbers are aligned with that. This specific data, you will get the slides, whatever is approved by the COC, you will get those slides, which will include the link to that data. I want to point out what was the point of contention, so to speak. Last year, we had 310 people counted as unsheltered. This year, we only had 245. We have pretty consistent sheltered, which is reasonable because those are the folks that are in our shelters. They're at Hope Center and Project Restoration and at Redwood Community Services. So you expect those numbers to stay the same. This unsheltered count could be a number of things. It could be that those projects are successful. As Carissa was talking about, they are successfully getting people into permanent housing. But there is one other thing that in particular stood out to me, and these next three slides are the three that you may, as the COC, choose that you don't want to make this data public, but I think that it is important that we have an understanding of where this data is coming from. So notice the second circle to the right. This year we had 28 observations, and last year we had 126. So those 126 for last year were a person or people walking around going, you look homeless, you look homeless, you look homeless, and counting them as experiencing homelessness, but not interviewing them. And our strategic goal is to conduct as many interviews so that our data is good. So I'm going to focus in now on one neighborhood where there were a lot of observations. Again, you may choose not to include this data in what you choose as your final report, but it is important that you understand it. So last year, there were 43 observations of people experiencing homeless at Elam. There were 0 this year. And of all of the people interviewed, 2 people said they identify as being members of the Elam tribe. There are only 165 members of this tribe. There are only somewhere between 400 and 100 living at the colony. Do we truly believe that 43 of the 40 to 100 are experiencing homelessness? So there was a problem in the observation data last year. There was an over-reporting. My guess, I don't know this because I haven't been able to confirm it. My guess is what happened at that location is that they were Dustin, I'll take questions when I'm done with the report, and I can come back to this slide if you need. My guess is what happened is they looked at some of the housing at Elam and said, that doesn't look like it's habitable, and they just marked it as homeless. It's one of the reasons why it is so important for us to do interviews versus just the observations, because it made it look like there was a significantly higher amount of homelessness in this one neighborhood than there probably is. So what is another way of considering that data? You saw, for example, that for the last year in CES, we only had 25 people total that identified themselves as being Native American or Alaskan Indian. If we had a total of 25 in coordinated entry, do we really think we've got 43 from one tribe? It just doesn't pass the common sense test, even though that is how the observations came back. So having said that, what did our sovereign nations and tribal counts look like this year? Acknowledging that I'm not happy with last year's numbers, and I think that impacted why we see one reason we see such a reduction in the numbers of homelessness this year. This year, we had 45 people say that they were members of an American Indian or Alaskan Native tribe. So overall, in our entire count, 45 people said, I'm Indigenous, I'm Native American, I'm American Indian, I'm Alaskan. Of those 45, only 17 identified as being a member of a local tribe. So we had 12 that identified as being members of Big Valley. We had only two that identified as being members of Elam. We had 1 from Scotts Valley, 2 from Robinson, and 0 for either Middletown or Haba-Matalel. Now, both of those tribes, Middletown and Haba-Matalel, partner with us. They work with us to look at this data. Holly, who we honored earlier and whose photo you see before you now, she's there at Haba-Matalel every year. She's in their community center. So there's no reason for us to believe that those numbers are wrong. I called Moak and asked him, do you think this is accurate for Middletown? Do you truly think that there are no members of the Middletown Rancheria that are currently experiencing homelessness? And he said, yes, I do believe that, because the tribes have made such a huge effort to combat homelessness. And so they are seeing those reductions in numbers. So when we're looking at those reductions, I don't want us to take the easy route and say, oh, well, we just missed people. Because I think that there are trends that are showing our methodology is good. And in terms of the definition of homelessness for the PIT count, I think we're doing a good job of capturing those folks. So moving along, what does the overall race and ethnicity look like in terms of our PIT count? The highest population is white, which is consistent with Lake County. Our highest population is white. Roughly 65 or 66% of Lake County is white, and roughly 58% of our folks experiencing homelessness are white. That too is consistent with state trends, which means that you're slightly less likely to experience homelessness if you're white. So you're going to see a lower percentage. That again is common across the state. Here you see the 45 people that I said self-identified as experiencing homelessness, and then you see 25 saying that they're experiencing homelessness that are Hispanic. It's only been 2 years at the most where Hispanic has been a category that we're allowed to ask all at once. Typically in past years, you had to say Hispanic white or Hispanic Latino. So this is, to my knowledge, it's only the second year that we've been able to ask that question together if somebody self-identifies as being Hispanic. This is another way to look at population, but this is the population of Lake County, not just our COC. So because I'm focusing really in this presentation in terms of how to understand the data, looking at ELM, you'll see that 45, right, all people in the survey that identified as Native American, that would be 12% of our survey, as opposed to if you look where you find Native American, there's only 2% of our total population in Lake County. That's this little green one right here. See this down here?
Yeah, it's up. The other green one.
The other green one. So like here, sorry. So 2%. So this 2% is out of line with the 12% that our pit count shows. So it's still fair to say that there is a higher percentage of people that are self-identifying as Native American that are experiencing homelessness because of race, right? There is still a correlation there, but the correlation is not the huge numbers that we saw coming out of ELM last year. So let me move on from race data. This was another place where we had a lot of questions when I presented the preliminary report. This year we had 17 veterans identifying themselves in the pit count as being veterans. But you might have heard, I heard Bruno, for example, I know, I heard Bruno say that I was about to correct him, which I didn't at the time, but it did remind me that I wanted to double check this data. 17 this year as opposed to 20 last year, which means that we have functional zero. Functional zero does not refer to the people, it refers to the growth. So we have no growth. In fact, we did a good job. We have fewer veterans this year than last year. That doesn't mean that we have none, but it means that we have no growth. So that is good news for our community. Here, I don't think I need to spend a lot of time on this. Most people experiencing homelessness, a slight percentage are male than female. We have, as we would expect, fewer folks under 5. Our biggest group is right here. Those are the 35 to 44 age group. This one is concerning to me all the way over here that we've got 26 people experiencing homelessness that are over 65 years old. And I didn't have time to drill down on this data this year, but the last time I was the one that did this official report, I did look at it and we had folks that were in their 90s experiencing homelessness. So I suspect we will still see that if we decide that we want to drill down further into the age demographics. Then going on, this is this specifically, I did this slide because one of the things I told you last time I presented, when I said it was very preliminary, I want to show you how these numbers change between the time that we take the surveys to when we officially make our report to HUD. The top numbers are from our interviews and surveys, and the bottom numbers are what we have reported to HUD. And you will see they are not the same. So in our surveys, for example, we had 82 people that self-identified as having a serious mental illness. But in our coordinated entry, HMIS, we have 119 that identify as having a serious mental illness that we were able to connect or double verify between the pit count and our HMIS. So the reason we want to look at both of those systems is because we want to make sure if there are people that we're missing, we're looking for them. And if there are people that we're capturing, we want to make sure that we're captioning what their concerns are, what their reality is, and how they are telling the story of their experience of homelessness. So that's just, this slide is really just meant to show you how those numbers can change and to explain why. Now, this is my favorite part of the report. I'll be sad if you pull any slides from this section from our official report, but there are two things that I have to point out to you. First, our unique questions. That's the questions that the Pit Count Committee wrestled over for months. Those questions were only in the shelter survey. So that means nobody from Himilton, nobody from Hope Center, nobody from Project Restoration, none of those folks got to answer these questions. These questions only went to our unsheltered survey takers. Next year, we're going to fix that. Next year, everybody's going to answer all the questions, but we didn't realize that they were only going into the unsheltered. So if you see some results that you think don't align with what you see at the shelters, that is the reason. This is specifically folks that are unsheltered. And then the second thing is that you saw we had a larger number of folks from Big Valley experiencing homelessness, but what we also did not have in our shelter count this year was housing provided for people experiencing homelessness by Big Valley. So they didn't meet the qualification for being sheltered homeless, which they would have had we included that as an option. But because it wasn't included as an option, some of them completed the unsheltered survey. So I would argue, just like I would say that ELEMS is way too high from last year, and this year is probably more accurate, I would say that Big Valley is probably a little high as well. Some of those folks are actually sheltered homeless versus unsheltered. So those are the two caveats to the questions that you're about to see. Lake County is home. We knew that already. Like every other year that we have asked this question, the average length of time that folks experiencing homelessness in Lake County is over 18 years. I don't think we have ever asked that question and had it be less than an average of 18 years. It is home. Now, I did today come across an interesting data point, which is that roughly 10% of all people living in Lake County were born in Lake County, or were born outside of Lake County. That means that 9 out of 10 people, theoretically, in this room should have been born in Lake County. So a quick survey. We should see, if that data point is correct, we should see a lot of hands. How many of you were born in Lake County? Please raise your hands. So that shows you that the data about what is considered home is also skewed. All right. So the best way for us to gauge if Lake County is home is to ask the people who consider it home, not what other people have said about them. And the average time this is home for those that took the time to do this interview to share with us so that we could learn about homelessness in Lake County, their average time in Lake County is 18 years. This is home. Personally, I've only lived for 26 years. So, you know, I'm like right there in that group myself. All right, carrying on. Fire-related homelessness, you know, this is another one that I feel really passionate about and I advocate for every year. How many people identified that any of these recent fires, and by recent, I mean last 10 years, any of these fires has contributed to their homelessness. And you will see that once again, this was true last year, we still have 12 people that are saying that their homelessness started because of the Valley Fire. 10 years ago, next month. That should be a sobering statistic to all of us about the importance of increasing climate adapted, fire resistant housing. That's why we include this slide. It was not surprising that we had 11 folks say that they were impacted by the Wills or Glenhaven fire, 3 from the Cache fire. You can look at these numbers yourself, but in the end, 18% said that it was because of fire that they became homeless. Well, give me, because I didn't let Dustin ask his questions. Go ahead. What is it?
Those 12, are they located in a specific spot? Do we check that, or?
We, and by we, I mean not me. We do have the power to look at those 12 and find out where they are around the lake. Yes, we can drill down that data. But what that takes, and what it takes, for example, when I tell you how many people identify with which tribe, we don't get a summary report that tells us that. We have to look at the Excel spreadsheet of every single survey, find the column where they answered that, and then go across to the right row that gives that data. It is possible, but it takes time and it has to be by somebody who's completed the privacy training that is required by the COC to the level of CES or HMIS. Okay, moving on. Youth-related questions. Holly was especially passionate about these, so I will answer them. We had 4 questions this year. We've asked youth-related questions every year. They have never been as useful as we want them to be. So we were really intentional this year about asking ourselves how we would use the data before we allowed a question to be added to the survey. So the first question was, were you ever in foster care or considered an ICWA student? 43 people said yes. Do you believe that you're experiencing homelessness due to aging out of the foster care system? Only 7 people said yes. Were you homeless as a youth or an unaccompanied youth? 20 said yes. Do you believe that your living situation as a youth contributed to your current situation? 20 said yes. So what our educators can do, what LCOE, Anna, what you want to do, I don't know how you want to use this data. It wasn't part of that subcommittee. But my ask is that we look at these questions and we ask ourselves, what does this tell us about how people are experiencing homelessness in Lake County? That has to be our question. Every time we take their time asking them to tell us their story, we have to honor the time that they've taken, and also those 70+ volunteers that donated their entire day to be going out there and asking these questions. Next, we wanted some kind of question about justice involvement, but we didn't want it to be quite as direct as, are you a felon? Are you a convict? So we wrestled. We went back and forth about what is the question we want to ask. This is what the group came up with. Is your experience of homelessness a result of incarceration, either for yourself or a family member or a roommate? Because whichever one of those 3 is, that's your chosen family, that's your household, that's going to impact your experience. 37% that justice involvement is what is causing their homelessness. We changed these next few questions. We haven't asked any of these next few slides in exactly this way before. And again, it's just a matter of trying to tweak the information to get the best bang for our time buck, so to speak. So we specifically added this bit, not what you think most people experiencing homelessness need, but thinking about yourself or your family. What kind of housing would you prefer? And so this is just the folks that did the interview. Again, nobody from the shelters got to ask or answer rather. Only three said they would consider group or communal living. And I want to call that out because that number is going to change radically on the next slide. But when we just asked, what would you choose? Only 3 said group housing. But because we're doing a lot of work on the safe parking grant, I wanted to call that out. 26 people said they would prefer safe parking. They don't want to be in a shelter. They want to be in safe parking. 57 said tiny homes. 59 said they want to be in a house. 70 said that they want to be in an apartment. Now, you remember that 3 number. This is how it changed. When we just asked if they want communal living, only 3 people said yes. When we asked if it would be part of a jobs program, 98 people said yes to communal living. If we added the kind of job program, it went up to 143 said yes. And this should tell us, because this is more than 50%, this should tell us that there is a market and a hunger and a willingness to be in job development programs if they're associated with housing. Now, we would expect to see the seasonal ag up there, right? Because that's a model that we see in Lake County. We have that kind of housing. But that is only between 18 people said that. Notice that the largest one here was construction. 45 people said if you would offer workforce development in the construction trades, I would live in that group housing. 45 people. Also, take a look, 37 said housing for education. Yet we don't have dorms, with our community colleges. But we do have a lot of folks experiencing homelessness, and there are models for community colleges that have dorms. In fact, if you did a survey, I don't know, this is not a scientific data poll that I'm about to say, although this I'm presenting is, but if you asked families how many of their kids went up to College of the Redwoods, CR, because they have dorms with their community college, I bet it would be pretty high. And I'll tell you that I have 2 kids that went there because they have dorms at that community college. Oh, wait, look at this. How many people in the room have a family member that went to CR? That's higher than the percentage of people that were born in Lake County.
I lived in the dorms at sea.
And you lived in the dorms at CR. So I'm saying this should tell us something. Because if you have people that want to be in dorms for education, they want to get out of homelessness. And just as the way you hear people scream out of their cars, get a damn job, that isn't it. It's construction housing, it's education housing, and the people that took the time to do this interview with us are telling us that. Therefore, we should listen. Okay. We also asked, and I don't know if this is really useful. I asked for this question myself, and I don't think that it's very useful, but I asked it anyway. How much could you afford? And I think what I was trying to get at with this was, what's your investment? If we provided your preferred kind of housing, what could you really afford? And the bottom number surprised me way more than the top number, right? 10 people said they could afford $800 or more. And 95 said it would have to be free. But everybody else was in between somewhere. Like they could afford to contribute to it if it was the right housing for their needs. And Mary Wilson is commenting, and I am going to point this out before I totally leave the housing situation, which is to say the Santa Rosa Junior College also has housing and dorms. Okay. So here's a question that I most often get asked, and this is what everybody really wants to know. So for the purpose of the pit count, how many people are experiencing homelessness? The number that I'm going with is 362. That's my number. If you ask me, how many people did the pit count show are experiencing homelessness? 362. And of those 362, 311 took the time to do that entire interview with us so that we would better understand the story of homelessness in Lake County. 245 of them are wholly unsheltered and 66 of them are sheltered. We did a significantly better job, like 500 times better job this year in doing those interviews versus the lazy way of just observation. Now, I do want to acknowledge that it's not always just lazy to do the observation, but sometimes it can be fear-based, like, oh, I don't want to talk to that person. Sometimes it can be safety-based. I should not talk to that person. But in many cases, it is just easier, and we should not be taking the easy route if we want the real and true solutions. So now I'll call on, that's my report. So now I will take questions, and I will call on Dustin first because I told him I wouldn't take his question, and then I'll go to Veronica. Dustin?
I don't remember my question.
Oh, I'm so sorry. All right, we'll come back to you if you have it. Veronica, go ahead.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Veronica Solvik. I'm an attorney with Legal Services. And just wanted to jump back to the slide that talked about if someone's experience with incarceration has led to homelessness. And just to plug that if you encounter anyone who has a criminal record that's a barrier to housing or more, please help them find us. That's work that we do. And we hope that you'll help connect them to us so we can try to lift that barrier for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that, Veronica. And actually, each of our shelters in Lake County also does referrals to help people get into that. This exact second, I can't remember the name of the process.
Expungement.
Expungement. Thank you. So we, we do make referrals through our shelters to help folks go through that process for the records to be expunged. Jay.
Yes, Shannon, thank you for putting the work into this. This is really helpful. Question about the 3 slides.
Yes.
In your estimation, what do you perceive to be the potential downfall of including those slides? And what's the benefit of not including them?
The potential downfall of including those slides is that we then get asked to go back and find out who did that. Because we could do that. We could go back and we could say person X did that. And then I think we would miss the point. That's my concern, is that we could find somebody to blame and then we're like, well, that's not really our problem. Just because I know people are quick to blame, like it's your fault or your fault, and it's not our fault. When I really think the lesson is that we need to do a better job there. The other reason that the other concern that I would have is that that is data about people from a sovereign nation that is not my nation. And so as I am talking about them, I would not want, if it was reversed, I wouldn't want them putting a report out about me that I hadn't had a chance to look at, to respond to speak to. The data is what the data is. And I don't wholly feel like it's respectful to put that data out there without talking to somebody from their tribal administration. This is what we think the data shows. What do you think the data shows? Before I publish that, I would want to have that conversation.
Especially when the numbers are so low, it really goes to the point of almost identifying people.
So can you go back to those slides?
Yeah, I can.
Mary?
And that was
I
last
want
year's.
to add also that the tribal administration for Elim does not live here.
Yes.
And so the people who are on the reservation are the people with the lived experience, and the people who are at administration, it's a whole dynamic that we don't experience out here.
Thank you, Mary.
Yeah.
But I have one more thing to say. You know what? I agree with Pastor Shannon. This is an absurd amount of people. I have friends at Elim. I spend time there. There's not this many people that are, I don't know. I don't know how this was gathered.
So I think that observation is weird to me. It's almost like shelter status profiling.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like he's got a beanie on.
I don't like
Maybe he's homeless. It's a weird thing. It's difficult, but then again, we can't approach everybody. They may be uncomfortable with us approaching them. Vice versa, might be uncomfortable with approaching them. I don't personally like this slide. I think this slide is trying to explain without necessarily giving the chance for someone else to explain. And I know exactly who was involved in this and who was not involved this year. But the previous one, the previous slide, I think, minus the circles, that's our data. And I think that the more we do these pick counts, the more we know we get different people that interact with it. Different people are going to approach people in different ways. That's why the number is never going to be perfectly accurate. Right. The way that people observe is going to be done differently. No matter how much training we may give them, we're still individuals and we still act on our own will and our own accord when we're out there in the field. So I have no problems with this slide because that is truly what we collected and that needs to be submitted. The next slide, I don't think we should try to explain it. I think
this one is in that group as well.
And I think that just breaks down the 45 that were identified this year and doesn't break down and say in comparison to last year. Right. And so I think that slide is fine because again, our Native American members in this county are identified by the COC as being one of the vulnerable populations we need to pay attention to because the percentages are much higher than their overall slice of the percentage of our total population, right? And so I have no problems with that slide and the previous slide, but the middle one, I would prefer that we not have that explanation and just allow for us to respond if there's questions rather than trying to respond to those questions. And I saw a question from Carrie Manning. No, we did not get in time the participation from Elam this year as we had the previous year.
We did not have participation from Elam the previous year. We had a COC member go to Elam and count. It was not somebody from the tribe that did those numbers. Please.
So, I would not, I know I'm not a member officially.
You get to speak freely.
Okay, all right. I get to have an opinion. Hooray. I agree with what Bruno's saying about that, what the slide of trying to explain the why, and mainly because that only maybe explains the why of 40 of the 220, like there's 100 different. And there are a multitude of changes to methodology that could account for a difference in the observation count. And so unless we were going to go into a deeper why, I don't think it's a good plan to just call out one possible reason why. It's not super helpful. And the other thing, we always have those things that are going to be like a tweak to the methodology every year. There's something we learned from the last time we did it, and we're tweaking the way that we do the methodology, and yeah, it's going to shift. What's great though about the pit count is that every single community across the country is doing the exact same thing, right? And has mistakes that they can find in their count from last year that then shifts the number. So there's just in terms of like, we're not alone in having some skewed numbers, and if I would just, people can think what they think about it. Just present, there is a difference.
And that is why I wanted to put the offer that like, you might not want all of the slides, but I also feel like this body needs to look at what happened to those numbers. But that doesn't mean we need to share that with everybody. What we do need an understanding of it. I agree.
I mean, it's one of the things that makes like really being thoughtful about the methodology.
Yes.
And being transparent about the methodology every year about this is how we did the count is really important.
Yes.
Do you think by putting up page 6 or including page 6, there's a chance of causing hard feelings with Big Valley, or because it feels like you're calling them out just looking at that number?
What I feel what I would choose to do if I was in charge of the universe, which I'm not, by the way, I'm just the chair of this committee and I'm presenting this report to you. What I would like to do, and by I mean somebody other than me, like what I would like to see happen is I would like for this report to go to each of the tribes and a conversation take place before this report gets published. But I think that conversation should take place. I just don't have time to be the one to do it.
I appreciate that perspective. What's missing to not make it maybe feel that way is let's go through the same data we have and let's break it down by towns, cities,
exactly.
zip code, whatever that breakdown would be easiest based on the data collected, so that we can also show everything within the county of Lake. I mean, those numbers are separate because they can be a member of Big Valley, but they're in Clear Lake, right? It's not that those numbers came from Big Valley, that they have a connection to the membership. But I think that also having a breakdown is important, because then we can approach the county, we can approach the cities and say, here's what we found in your pick count, rather than out of all this big number, 362.
Yeah, but I don't disagree with that. In fact, I think it's super smart. However, this is a huge lift. This is not like the survey doesn't just tell you this data. This is me reading every single line.
But it's 362, is that the amount?
Yeah. Well, 311, because it's the interviews that get that granular data.
Right.
It's in the Excel spreadsheet though,
It
right?
is, yes.
Can't we just sort?
Happy to go through it and make it happen for you.
You can sort by it. By you, I mean.
Yeah, no.
I'm happy to do that for you and Melissa. I could probably do that very easily, quickly, and make that happen.
I can have it done too. I mean, that's.
So what I would say needs to happen for that to happen is you should just vote on who's going to do it. And I would be happy to integrate that those results into our official report. I'm also quite happy for somebody else to be the pit chair if they would like to. Because I obviously do have some strong feelings about this data and how I think we should use it and how I think we need to double check it. And we do, whenever we double check the data, we find errors. Melissa and I found an error today, and HUD has already fixed it. And our official report is done. We've submitted to HUD what everybody in the United States has access to. Like anybody can go get that report. What we do, value added, is we add our personal questions, our unique questions to Lake County. But the raw data, anybody can get now. It's official. With the exception of, well, even including the data we fixed today.
So I have hands up in Zoom, our teams. Linda?
Hi, thanks. Thank you for including so many questions with your individual surveys. That really, really, really helps. But I'm going to reiterate a criticism I've had through, I don't know, the past 10 years. We are not including all the homeless. For example, HUD definitions and specifically state definitions are very clear on what's considered a permanent housing situation, and RVs are not included in that. Otherwise, San Francisco wouldn't be showing its huge homelessness problems with all the people living in motorhomes. We have in Lake County a huge number of trailer parks with people living full-time in camper shells, travel trailers, other units not fit for full permanent habituation. And those qualify in the HUD pit count as homelessness. And we could be adding a whole lot of our numbers. Particularly, I'm thinking about my own personal experience with Big Valley Rancheria when I was there as the housing director. We had, I don't know how many units of people just living in camper shells and travel trailers, just sitting on the ground, and they weren't in any kind of permanent housing situations. We really, really, really need to have maybe better expertise on what's considered homelessness and start counting these people. I think our numbers would probably double, and it's not like I want us to have more homeless in Lake County, but from a grants perspective, we need those numbers if we want to keep up the grants funding coming into Lake County, because we certainly deserve them here. Thanks.
Yeah, what I would say to that, Linda, is that the guidance from HUD was that yes, you can count camper trailers unless they have water and electricity. So if the trailer doesn't, if it's just a camper shell and it doesn't have water, it doesn't have electricity, that is unsheltered homeless. Yes, you can count that. That is true, and we did explain that in our training. But that is very difficult. What I would actually suggest that we do, again, if I was in charge of the universe, the government only requires the pit count every other year. So my advice would be that every other year, we do what we want to do. We ask all the questions that we want to ask. We include all of the categories of homelessness. Like, there is no reason that we couldn't do that. We can include all of the folks that are couch surfing. We can include families that are doubled up. We can include whatever we want, as long as we're meeting the every other year criteria for HUD. Because the alternate year could be whatever we want it to be, since we as a CEOC have shown that we are committed to researching this every year. Like, let's make our research better. Let's do what we want to do in that alternate year, is my advice.
Couch surfing doesn't count for pit count. It has to be in some kind of unsheltered, like on a porch, for example.
Yes.
But yeah, and I have been an advocate for every other year, just because it gives you time to regroup, get your resources together. But we are missing out on a lot of homelessness opportunities for the count, particularly with the rancherias. And uh, I don't know. I feel like a voice in the wilderness on this kind of stuff because I have been yelling for several years on this. But we need to do a better count. Just because we're kind of left behind. And Lake County has a huge, huge need, and we're missing out on the grant dollars.
Thank you, Linda. And I think that's a conversation to have at a future pit count meeting to figure out if that will be the direction to go and if we want to expand what questions we're asking. Just because I think that's the right place for that conversation, but I appreciate the comment. I'm going to move on to Mary, and then afterwards I see no further hands up, I don't believe, and I would like to move us along if possible.
If you go back to the comment about Big Valley, notice that our question says people self-evaluate identified as members. That doesn't mean they're actually tribal members. It oftentimes it means that they are descendants. And we're not going to change that because we're not going to ask people to show their tribal card when they identify.
Also, I want to acknowledge that Big Valley did their own count this year. They were the ones, Big Valley they were the ones that walked around their land and did the surveys. It wasn't us going on. They did their own.
Which is why we need to have better training.
If I could say one more thing, so I had asked to go to Elam last year, and I said I would not go because I wasn't going to go to the tribal administration to ask for permission. I would want to go to ask the folks that I know that live there, and it was the last minute. So if we want to have people, especially Elam, which has a very different political situation than the rest of the tribes, we need to reach out at least a month ahead of time to ask if it's okay.
We have been sending emails and we just were not getting any response. I mean, we didn't leave it to the last minute.
Yeah. The coordination with all tribes was done simultaneously, and some were able to coordinate with us and some just were not able to coordinate or were not responding.
Well, it would be, I would ask somebody like Jim Brown or Jessica Brown for input on how to count there. Again, not asking the folks that are downstate.
No, that's not who was being asked. We were reaching out to the folks that actually live there and have family there. That we're well aware of the politics of Elam and also trying to navigate it in a respectful way. Linda, your hand is up, and I'm taking it that you're done at the moment.
You're on mute if you think you're telling us.
I'm going to move on.
Okay, but before you totally move on though.
No, we need to finalize.
I need direction.
So, what I would like to do is add a page that will have the breakdown of the, I think it's by zip code. It's probably the best because zip code denotes city and denotes townships. But to break down the number by zip code of the 311. So I'll help you add that page, and I would like to take away the page previous to that provides a potential explanation as to why the difference in observation between last year and this year. Is there any other changes that anybody would like to make to the final report? And again, the report has been submitted, as was stated, to the feds. This is for what we post on our website and make very public for everyone to see.
I think we could add. I like the zip codes tremendously, but also, Chris and I were able to identify encampments. Where they were at and what the numbers were at encampments, which was really good for our grant. But it's also kind of good to know, how that population is made as well.
Explain that again.
Here, I'll share a screen that
Okay.
shows how that happens. I'm not logged into it. Give me just a second.
What's the difference between like a zip code and an encampment, other than obviously?
Zip code's a lot bigger.
Yeah, no, obviously there's multiple encampments in one zip code.
Or I can say, an encampment is at the crossroads of this and this.
So here's an example of how we can drill down. This is not the surveys. This is the this is the surveys, but this is what we pay for when we get the digital questions. And you can drill down as close as you want to any little area. So you can see like, oh, there were a lot of surveys there. And I can go down right to the block where surveys were done. And you can click on that dot and you can find information about it. Or you can take a picture, which is what I did the last time that I, did when it was me doing this report. I take a picture of each community so people could see where the focus was. Now, if you look at Lakeport, you'll see that like Lakeport's all over. We had a lot of people doing questions in Lakeport. But if I go down to, let's see, where are you, Carrie? 8, 7? No, 4.
Yeah, right there.
Right, so you see that there's a whole group there. I can look at that and go, oh, that's Circle of Native Minds. There's a whole group there, but it's not an encampment. But somebody that has access, which right now I think is just probably Melissa and I, somebody that has access can go in and can drill down to whatever neighborhood you want. Where you think there's an encampment, you can look. Did we go there? It will tell you if anyone answered surveys anyway. And then, depending on how far you can go up to North Lakeport, that's probably, even right there. Like I bet. So we can do these as pictures that show. And then what happens is, let's see, I probably have. Oh no.
And Scott, if you want to add like a written explanation of.
Well, the same we did for the grant where we identified encampment sites. For the grant, we have to track the encampment sites. So it's good to know, like when a camp resolves, which means it's people left, and when a new one starts.
So both Melissa and Ronnie have their hands up, but the thing that I want to acknowledge about this is that this is only if there's an encampment on the day of the pit count.
Right, no, I understand.
Right, if it's been moved or closed or.
But it's still a broad picture at one time that
Yes.
you don't normally have.
Melissa had her hand up, but she put it down. So Ronnie.
I was gonna mention that I don't think that'd be an accurate representation of the current encampments, but I think law enforcement would have a more accurate map. If you want something now that is representative of current.
So I think, sorry, thank you, Ronnie. And I agree that it's a moving target. We all know that. I don't know that if it needs to be in the public document that we post on our website. That doesn't mean the data is not there for any future grant or for anything like that. Mainly just because I'd rather approve something with conditionals. It's easy to say zip code, here's the numbers. I'm not sure what I'm going to be seeing if I say yes to encampments. How's that going to look like? I'm not 100% sure.
That makes sense, particularly publishing to the public, I guess.
So right now there's 2 changes being offered. The deletion of that one page and the addition of the zip code with all the numbers that were interviewed from those zip codes. If there's nothing further to change, I'd like to get a motion to move forward with that and get it published as soon as possible.
So moved as amended.
All right, thank you. That was from Brad.
Second.
And we have a second from Anna. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. I want to spend 30 seconds to backtrack real quick, just because I want to be able to move forward next time easily. We have Jermaine Gregoire, who joined us. I see him looking right at us through his monitor. If you can just briefly introduce yourself in 15 seconds, and then we can vote for you to become an official member of this committee.
Hello, Bruno. How you doing? I'm Jermaine Gregg, staff service analyst for behavioral health. I do the Lake County community competency meeting. Excuse me. So I'm from down south. I've been living out here for like 15 years in Lake County. I lost a nephew because he had mental issues. He didn't have anywhere to stay. He was walking the streets. He ended up getting murdered. So that's why I wanted to join and have more of a footprint in Lake County.
Perfect. Thank you very much. And I'm looking forward to one day calling you Dr. Gregoire, because I'm hearing that might be your next step in education. So yes. Now that he's introduced himself, if I can get a vote to approve Jermaine. All right. Again, Brad with the motion. Second. And second from Ben. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Welcome, Jermaine. You'll be an official member as of now, but also next time we have our meeting, so we don't have to go through that again. All right. Moving on to presentations. Scott?
I'm sorry.
Are you doing the HAP presentation?
Actually, ask Linda to do that, Linda.
Do you know how long that will take, and what's the timeline to having to get that done? Because we've taken quite a while today.
This will be brief.
Okay.
Because we're just in this general meeting. We're just gonna kind of talk about what we talked about last time, because we have to have 3 public.
Okay, hearings. That's right. That's right.
So Linda, you there?
Yeah. How about slam dunk, just approve? You have in your agenda an updated homelessness action plan. It does have current information as far as demographics, homelessness, rents, all that kind of stuff. It does include some references from the county's recently adopted housing implementation plan. I think you did that a couple of weeks ago, and there are a little bit of updates I need to submit, particularly once I know where the county wants to put its dollars, because if the county wants to go to any kind of new construction, HAP 6 requires we put in additional language. But other than that, it should be, pretty self-explanatory. The proposed budget is basically what the county, or excuse me, the COC had last year, just updated based on discussions 2 or 3 months ago with the grants committee. And depending on your discussions here, your comments, I will update those and get that back to you for approval.
Right, thank you very much. And yes, we did just recently pass the Housing Action Implementation Plan. So thank you for already adding that stuff to your document. This is our first or second?
Second.
This is our second, so we'll have 1 more month where this comes back.
We will, third one will be at the Board of Supervisors.
Okay. So the next one's at the Board of Supervisors. I think it's also a good time to maybe, we'll talk about that afterwards, but maybe put a bigger program for the Board of Supervisors, give them an update on the PIC count, give them an update on our strategic plan, where we are, what we intend to do, and also maybe publicize the September 24th town hall.
I am going to say that I use the 2024 PIC count information in this homelessness action plan. The official HUD numbers weren't reported on the 2025, and frankly, the 2024 numbers are better for this purpose, and totally kosher to use. And assuming we go on with the next HAP round, we can include the 2025 pick count information at that point.
Thank you for that. And any questions, comments before we move on? That was as brief can possibly get.
Linda, can we send possible edits to Scott? I saw a couple of things I would like clarification on. There were a couple of there were a couple of resources
any
there.
Comments, and those will go into the edits forwarded to the Board of Supervisors.
Okay. There are a couple old resources that probably aren't available anymore. We might need to clean up. Okay, thanks.
Oh yeah, no, I need some cleanup in there. Thank you.
Okay.
So I want to move on. Thank you so much for being brief. I wasn't sure what the definition of brief. Everyone has a different version of that.
I was brief. I have lots of other things to say.
I'm going to move on to number 6. I'm going to call out Jay Murdoch. Would you like to give us a summary on interfaith?
Brief.
Please.
We met for the last time this summer. We're taking a break this summer with the faith leaders. I've always given you the saga of like if you give a mouse a cookie. It turns out if you give a mouse a substitute teacher named Bruno to come and speak at meetings, sometimes they're more open to more cookies. So Bruno doesn't know about this, but I got glowing reviews. So excited to have Bruno to talk to him about this project, about safe parking. So it was so great to hear that 26 digit there for that grouping of people. I hope you got a lot of people coming to you. A lot of people came to me saying, how do I have a further conversation about that? So the churches are open to the idea. We might actually open up a few more spots along the way, focusing now on Clear Lake moving forward. We've also made strides so to the interfaith conversation for the actual committee. One of the big proponents that I said right at the beginning was we have a lot of very white, very Christian members as part of our group. And being interfaith, that's a difficult pill to swallow. So how do we diversify? We have had conversation after conversation, and it looks like we have traction now for multiple groups who can connect us to different tribal leaders who have elders who are interested in the conversation. So hopefully by the time we come back around to this, the group will have an opportunity to vote in some new members for the specific purpose of joining the interfaith committee and starting to become actually interfaith instead of just different versions of Christians getting together to talk about other groups. To Pastor Shannon's point, it's hard to make these reports about interfaith things when it doesn't feel like we have interfaith conversations. So we're working on it. We'll get back to it as soon as we can with hopefully new voices.
So I have submitted links to the RFP for further information. I need to get back to Octavian. He texted me. I'm not sure if he's moving forward or not. He's still waiting for his umbrella company or church to tell him yes or no. I thought it was well received. What I'm wondering, Melissa, what would this be a possibility? Just because sometimes RFPs can be a little overwhelming and intimidating. It's very bureaucratic. Would it be possible if a group of churches submitted an RFP as one rather than all of these individuals? Because some of them might be saying, I have 2 parking spots rather than like a full program. And I think it would be easier for us to get them to move if we allowed them to act as a group from time to time rather than just as individuals. Would that be a possibility?
One thing that we did when we had the Q&A for the RFP, we had people that were asking about location. And we responded by that, we weren't putting on them to establish the location. The COC would partner with them for a location. So it's not just, whoever's going to be submitting an RFP has to have a location. And we're going to take some responsibility of the COC, which we have been doing in our meetings to assist with them.
Okay. I see a hand up. I don't know who you are. I don't have my glasses.
Barbara.
Barbara.
You're on mute, Barbara.
Yeah, I know. So anyway, just to say as a precautionary in Santa Rosa on Gurneville Road, the Quaker meeting there was doing a wonderful job of letting people park in their parking lot until the insurance company shut it down after about 3 years. So it'd be a pretty good idea, any church, to make sure that the insurance company, their insurance company, will not stop their insurance if they have people in their parking lot.
And so that has been a question. And what I said is find out what the insurance company wants and add that to your proposal so we can help you pay for whatever the increase is, because that money has to be used to create that. And if insurance is part of creating that, it should be a part of the proposal. So it's definitely a concern that has been expressed and one that we want to try to figure out how to overcome.
Thank you.
So I'm gonna, is that a hand?
Nope.
Oh. The rest for the committees, it's written in the agenda. Please read the agenda for if you want to be updated on the committees. I am not going to go through other than ask, are there any questions based on what was written on the agenda for the summaries? Because we knew that we would have these long presentations, brief, but and so we wanted everybody to provide us detailed information to be able to update us in writing rather than update us verbally. Next, I'm going to go to the working group updates. Very similarly, we asked everybody to provide updates via email. We added it into the agenda. Are there any questions about the working group updates? And actually, I'm so sorry because I was supposed to say something. I'm going to back up to item number 6, HMIS CES. I feel Melissa, correct me if I'm wrong. I feel we're doing more and more, and I see your hand, Dustin. I'll get to you afterwards in a sec. I feel we're doing better with our data. We're still struggling to march uphill and overcoming some of our data dirtiness. And I would like to challenge the agencies that are not putting data into HMIS or not putting enough data in HMIS. Please come to us with how you will be able to do it and what you need. And I'm going to be, I guess, rude because I'm going to call out 2 agencies that I feel really needs to lead by example, and that's behavioral health. I know you're doing better, but we need to lead by example as being the leaders of inputting into HMIS if we're going to be the lead agency of this group. And social services. I don't want to tell you how to do it, but what do you need from the COC? We know from our finances, if you wait and stick around for the executive committee, we look at our finances. We have money somewhere in some leftover grants. What do you need to make it happen so that we can make sure we have all the data and the best data, because we're not getting all of the data. And I know that some of it is difficulty. We've heard it from LCOE. We've heard it from social services. Their data is in one database. In order for it to get an HMIS, they have to do a manual double entry. And so until we can get things better simplified, what's that cost? Give us some proposals as to what you would need to be able to meet that. Because if we're not leading by example, it makes it almost feel rude to expect others to lead that charge for us. And so I want everybody to be on the same page. Yes.
Teresa Schoen with Social Services. We have 3 licenses which we just received within the past month, and we're just now learning how to input into the system. So we're moving forward. It's kind of new for us, and what we would need would be more licenses for one thing, because we've got several different buildings and different programs that all serve homeless.
And that's exactly what I want to hear is what's on the list of your needs to be able to meet that expectation. If it's more licenses, that should be easy. Let's work on more licenses. If it's you need staff time, just like I expect contractors like RCS for that to be in their proposals of what's the cost of putting stuff in HMIS, because we're expecting that within the contract. So that's part of their money that they're going to receive based on their proposals. If you guys are saying we don't have the capacity or behavioral health doesn't have, I want to know those things. And I want proposals to be brought back to us so we can figure out how we can make that possible, because we just need to all be on the same level of expectations, especially if we're here to lead the charge ourselves. Not a Christmas list, but just a proposal. So I don't know if, thank you for that, Teresa. And I don't know if there was something else for a comment to be made by the group in Hope Center. I know I saw a hand.
Yes.
Please.
Hi, Bruno. It's me, Caitlin Murray. I just had a question about to ask basically strategic planning. Housing navigators plan on being present at the town hall meeting, and I wanted to ask if a booth is going to be present for housing navigators, or what does the setup look like? Do we need to bring our own material?
So submit all your material that you have to Melissa so we can get those printed out for you. There will be a table. Anna, please respond.
So we're gonna have a resource table. When I got to my section 2, I was gonna ask this group, we're gonna need volunteers to help with hosting, kind of, we're hosting some snacks and stuff, so we need volunteers available to just help with all the logistics. But we will have a resource table that will need to be manned. So we need all of the agencies who are working with our neighbors who are homeless that have services for them. Get all of your materials ready for that day so we can have it available. They come by and we give it to whatever they need. So that's what we're gonna need.
Thank you,
Hopefully
Anna. I had one just to add to that. Because Mayor is no longer with us and has retired into her new adventures in life, she and I had discussed that probation would be paying for the landlord letters to be printed. So who do I speak to now in to getting that done?
What I would do, just because I saw the look on Wendy's face, I would talk to Melissa. We should have outreach dollars, and printing doesn't sound like that would cost us an arm and a leg. And if it's COC related, maybe there's ways for us to be able to support that.
Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Linda.
A good time to be discussing this. We're asking the most we can get with the HMIS line items in the COC and BOS budgets, but there's a way to include more funding if you need that in other line items. There's also a way to include legal assistance for, whatever technical assistance you need. We just need to get that input.
Okay. I'm thinking Scott and Melissa are probably your best point of contacts, which you already have. Can you send us what the budget looks like? I don't know if I saw it, and if it's in here, I apologize for not seeing it.
It should be in the packet.
I deeply apologize.
And that's going to be presented at the executive meeting.
Okay. Okay. We're going to move on. Shelter updates, same thing. Everything was printed as far as what was going on with our shelters. Please review that if you want to know what's going on in all of our shelters. I am going to move on quickly and adjourn this meeting and thank everybody for spending much more time with us today than typical. But great work on the pit count and good work on the other things that are happening around the Encampment Resolution Fund and the request for future grants so that we can keep getting more money and doing more work. And the data. So stick around if you want to hang out with us for the executive committee, or else please give me about 2 minutes so we can clear the room and we will start.
Thank you.
Black that have children that I might be needing in the room, so I have to watch that.
Not the agenda that I remember seeing. Stuff that- Yeah, that I really did not pay attention. We're gonna go through.
But I did ask for time, it was in advance.
So we're actually executive and close this off with the exec.
So that will just all of the qualifications at a higher level.
It's practice to do it.
Yeah, the one I printed, Scott, is different.
The printer.
I brought these guys.
And they have the
As you've heard, we're adding things to the report.
So, and then the thing is, we need.
Yeah, I printed this one out.
But they say more interested, so.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
Better than,
As soon as we have the information, so.
I think that's not.
Oh.
I don't want any more staff.
And then the first page, you did the wrong that page?
Yeah.
Oh.
We'll follow.
I think Scott's realizing.
So do we need another one? Is that
Yeah,
okay?
we have contracts.
Okay.
No, I did not. You messed up.
All right, let's go ahead and get started. Roll call, please.
Supervisor Sabatier,
I am here in person.
Doreen,
Here in person.
Dustin,
Air Hope Center.
G. Is Jay still there?
I'm still here.
I thought you said Jake.
I heard Jake. I wasn't sure. Sorry, Melissa. Present in person.
Shannon,
Present in person.
Anna,
Here.
Brad,
Here.
Heather is absent, Rachel is absent, I am here on Zoom, and Scott.
Here.
We have a quorum.
All right, thank you. Let's move on to, we will not be doing additions or changes to the agenda unless Melissa has something. Next is approval of the May 1st, 2025 meetings. We don't have the June ones. Can I get a motion to approve? Anna moved.
Second.
Brad seconded. And everybody that's voting is here in person?
Except
Or is
Dustin.
there? Dustin. So let's go ahead and do a quick roll call. I'll start you off. Aye.
Doreen,
Hi.
Dustin,
Aye.
Jay,
Aye.
Shannon,
Hi.
Anna.
Aye.
Brad,
Aye.
motion passes.
Right, conflict of interest, we are going to be approving some contracts. If they are your contracts, your agencies, please remove yourself from the room and we will call you back in whenever that is over. Public comments, anyone have a public comment on anything related to the executive committee of the COC, but not on the agenda? Seeing none, moving on. We're gonna do monthly financial review later. Let's do, because some people have two meetings happening simultaneously. Melissa, I'm not quite sure what to do with 4.1. I'm going to skip it for now. Let me know what your thoughts are later. We're going to go to 4.3, contract
Could you
approval.
read them out? I don't have an agenda. The agenda that you just passed out, Scott, is not
Yeah.
this agenda. So we read it all out, your 4.1.
So 4.1 is just action items that we were supposed to do. I think they're more from the meeting minutes notes that somehow made it on here. Am I correct on that?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, so we're going to skip that. The next one is the HHAP round 6. I'm going to skip that and come back to it. I'm not dropping it. I want to go to contract approval, which is 4.3. Melissa, please take off with NCO or RH and H, whatever. I'm going to stop. Just please do the contracts.
You want me to share them?
Or just go ahead and talk about what it is that we're looking at and what it is that we need to do.
Um,
If you could share it, there's a couple mistakes.
You know, some mistake?
On the contract, but then is it, one of them still had Elijah House?
Oh, no.
Where was that?
Page 2. Page 5.
Which one?
See, I don't know where we're at with.
First one's NCO for $527,625.96.
Right, so the kind of description of services, page 5, number 2, still had all Elijah House language, I think, in it. I take that right? Yeah.
That's a 2-year contract, but yet it says 1 year on the top. Is it a 2-year or 1 year?
This is, which one again?
NCO. Title says 25-26, but in the term it says June 30th, 2027.
The term is correct.
So the title needs to be changed?
Yes.
25 through 27?
What's the reason in the meeting? I'm gonna
So I have a question, Melissa, where in the contract does it state about the every 30-day meeting?
I'm not sure. I didn't write up the contracts. We have someone else that does that within our agency.
I'm just not seeing it.
I thought we put that in there.
It was on section 2. This might be a different contract.
It's in the, if you go to LakeCoC.org.
There's, go back to 2. Section 2. Here, Elijah House.
Yeah.
So it's all that, yeah, there's a couple of places there. Okay. Otherwise, it looked good. Good job.
Yeah, there's only 2 instances of the word Elijah in the entire thing. So that would be 2.1 and 2.2 of Exhibit A for the NCO.
Got it.
And you said it was in there every month?
Oh. Just put it in.
No, it's in there, 4.5. Okay, thank you. I just needed to make sure that was in there because that was part of our thing. So we want to amend it to the title is 25-27 and the changes from, is that from Elijah House to just North Coast Opportunities?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Anything else?
Thanks for checking those. What about the other contract?
Is that one the HHAP 5, year 5 funding?
Hold on. Melissa and Scott, help me out. What is 2.2 supposed to say? Contractor will obtain a dedicated 8-bed affordable master leased medium-term transitional housing center?
No.
That's not what I'm thinking. And here it says.
Yeah, the description was.
That's more Elijah House language from one of their past contracts.
Yeah, and so is the previous 1.113. So there's unfortunately some issues that needs to come back. Because the one up above says 1111 Wayland Way. That's not NCO. I'm going to ask you to bring this back to us because I don't know that we have time, and I apologize that, good catch, Doreen, but there's more. And I apologize.
Still not. Which contract are you looking at?
So if you're going to if you go to the agenda package,
There's two links. There's one for agenda and then one for packet.
So 2025 meeting should be on top of
I
it.
clicked on the agenda packet. It's not.
No, but you're in
There's
your email.
126 pages. Okay. I read them all.
So I'm gonna ask, I know that, which one was on the Board of Supervisors that I kicked out? That was the NCO one, wasn't it? Melissa, the one that I asked you about?
There's one of the two of them. I think I thought it was the other
Sorry,
one.
everybody. I'm sorry.
I thought it was the other one though.
Anna, there again. You.
It was Adventist Health, okay. So let's
That's long gone.
move on. The next one that we need to talk about is Adventist Health Hub contract.
Okay, let me double check.
This one starts on page. Getting there.
I gotta stand up. Sorry, I've been set out. I know maybe that.
Okay, thank you. Looks like it starts right here on page 92 of the packet PDF.
I just don't see any of this. I clicked on the packet and it's 23 pages, not.
On the right date.
Can you head back?
You're on the right date, from August 7th.
Yeah, you gotta scroll down to August 7th meeting. That packet right there.
Okay.
Page 92.
Yeah.
Sorry for the confusion, everybody. Any comments, questions about the hub? It's from June 1st, 2025 to October 1st, 31st, 2026 for $184,000. It's for continued activity on the hub to continue doing the work that it does for us that we know very well about. Are there any questions?
So this particular contract, is this exactly the same contract we had previously with updated dates?
Yeah.
So the funding, we were gonna do some HUD funding, correct, for that? So where's the rest of the funding? I was just curious as to where the rest of the funding was coming from for that 184,000.
I have to pull up our grant spending.
Okay.
Is this Pathways Hub we're talking about?
Yes.
Yeah, it's our coordinated entry system, which we're required to have. And so we need to continue.
Yeah, the one's
Okay.
like 50,000, that's what I was thinking.
So I'm going to, Melissa, we're good to move forward. There's no comments. So I need an action to approve as the COC, which will then send it to the Board of Supervisors for consideration of the HUD Venice Health Clear Lake contract that we have before us from June 1st, 2025 to October 31st, 2026.
So
we have a motion from Brad.
A second.
Second from Anna. Really tried to get it from Doreen, but she was hesitant. Since Dustin is not in the room with us to vote, and also Jay has recused himself, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Dustin, you can randomly come back, even though I know you're just not on the screen. And Jay will come back. Thank you. Thank you, Megan.
I stepped out because I'm with Adventist Health.
I know, and I appreciate you doing that. Thank you. So we already voted, just to let you know, it was approved. It will go to the Board of Supervisors for consideration, and I don't know if that will be on the 19th or the 26th. We'll figure it out. Okay, so we're done with the contracts. Let's go back up to the HHAP. And I think that's Linda.
Hi there.
Hello.
Just rubber stamp. Is that short enough?
Let's talk about the budget real quick, since we were kind of talking about it a little bit.
Yes.
And I had it earlier, but now I have contracts to go through.
Melissa, could you pull it up, please? The budget.
Yeah, I'm looking for it.
Thank you.
And while we're
Budget
waiting on
is-
that.
It is on
I'd
page
like to
61 of
invite
126.
Melissa.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, Linda, I talked over you.
I was just gonna say Scott and Melissa are godsends. This doesn't happen without them.
Nice, thank you for that. And then the title of the budget says HAP 6 budget. Maybe it needs to say HAP 5.
Melissa, I
or
think
6.
that's the Board of Supervisors budget. There should be another COC budget.
It is HAGP 6.
Okay.
This is the MOU. There it is. Or what? No.
This is still the County of Lake.
Yeah, that's still County of Lake.
Because I didn't see it either. Okay.
I didn't see anything else.
That's the 2024 pick count on your screen.
I think, Linda, is this a combined application like the HAGP 5 was?
Yeah, it is a combined application, but the budgets for the COC and the Board of Supervisors are separate.
Yeah, but it's within the same application like HAGP 5 is,
Same
right?
application, but there's a separate budget sheet
Yeah, okay.
for the
That's just
COC. And I'm afraid my computer doesn't like Teams. It's not letting me pull up the COC budget. But basically it reflects what we were looking at last year, which was...
I found it, Linda.
Okay.
It's in my email, so we're gonna go off of my email right now.
Perfect. But we had rapid rehousing, interim sheltering, services coordination, which is called something different, HMIS, and admin costs. And this is the place to play with the budget.
Is the youth set aside in there as well?
Yeah, it's under
Yes.
service coordination.
Okay, see that.
It's automatic services coordination that is 10%.
Excuse me.
Are the funds for the pit count in here somewhere? Or that's not included in this grant?
It's not included in this grant?
I'd like to, we're starting a prevention and diversion program. It would be nice to put some more funds into it in round 6 to keep it going.
Right now we placed 400,000. Is that what? it
Yeah.
is?
And so in 2 years' time, they're gonna run out of money and to me, keeping people from becoming homeless is way more important, so maybe, because the rapid rehousing, they got $800,000 with the state this time, the rapid rehousing from the, and so it was a bigger grant, and so
Are
maybe
you
we
looking
could
at taking away from rapid rehousing and?
they got a big chunk, they got a really big chunk for 3 years. So this money, then we could take that rapid rehousing and stick it into prevention and diversion. Because if we get a really good program set up, it'd be terrible if there's no more funding to keep it going in 2 years' time.
Especially since money can go by real fast.
Yeah.
So are you
Yeah.
thinking like taking 75,000 from rapid rehousing and making prevention be 100? What are your thoughts?
I'm thinking
The whole
rapid
thing?
rehousing, yeah.
You're thinking the whole thing, so like 200,000 overall in the.
No, just 150. The rapid rehousing is 100. Yeah, just 100,000, I guess, to start with.
So you're saying
making
you need 100,000 for the the pit count and related activities?
No, that was just my question. It's not pit count.
So
That's already said.
we'd be taking 100,000 out of rapid rehousing and placing it into the prevention for a total of 125,000.
Yeah, right now we've got proposed 25,000. So you want to increase that?
Right. Yes,
Correct.
by 100,000 with taking out 100,000 from the rapid rehousing.
Okay. Got it.
And so outreach, it says it's not on there. We still have funding for outreach, so I'm not too worried. What's
We
your
got a
thoughts?
big chunk of outreach, with
Yeah,
the
okay.
encampment.
Well, and also HHRP still.
And so HMIS, we did just have that conversation, but I don't know that that's
We're
that
good.
conversation.
We have, because we have guest licenses now in HMIS, we just need to discuss at the committee how we want to work those guest licenses. So hearing what Teresa had to say on next Tuesday's meeting, I'm going to bring that up to get approval to start figuring out how we want to distribute the guest licenses. Because right now we only have, I think, 5 guest licenses being used, but we're at a place to where we only have 5 standard licenses left. So we can play around with the guest licenses and get DSS quite a few more licenses.
So I do want to move on, but I do want to say, this needs to go to the Board of Supervisors as well, and we'll be approving it both as the Board of Supervisors and as the lead agency of the continuum of care. If we can provide a glimpse into your vision as to what you anticipated using these funds for, like there's a reason you put 370,000 into interim sheltering. Is that to continue the shelters we already have? Is that, I think that needs to be defined a little bit better, so it's not just dollar signs on a category, but a definition of what it's anticipated to be used for, so that there's better understanding as to how and why we're asking for these dollars.
Okay. Yeah, I think like it's, the main things we're kind of looking at, we weren't looking at anything new, but continuing what we have.
Right. Okay. Any questions, comments? Raise your hand in Teams. Speak up here.
I'm a tiny bit confused. The COC and the County of Lake budgets are separate, but if you're telling me you need to increase HMIS, we're limited to that 1%, but there is under the rules another category to where we can beef up HMIS participation. Are you saying you want some more licenses?
So at this moment in time, we said we have guest licenses and that we can handle the license situation. We are not speaking of increasing it more than the 1% that it's put as right now.
Okay, no
So
problem.
no changes.
Okay.
The only changes we're making is rapid rehousing and moving that down to prevention.
Got it.
Okay. If there's nothing further, I'd like a motion to move forward.
We also need in your motion, if you don't mind, the MOU between the COC and County of Lake.
County of Lake.
Yeah, and formal approval of the HAP 6 submission, with, of course, the changes you've made.
Okay.
And the MOU is the identical MOU from HHAP 5 of last year. That's changed.
It's just the template.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yep. Okay. Any questions? Need a motion?
I move that we proceed with the addition of the MOU between the COC and the county, the changes to the budget, and what else?
And move it towards the Board of Supervisors.
And move it to the Board of Supervisors.
All right.
See.
We have a motion from Anna,
I'll second it.
a second from Brad, and a huge support from Doreen.
I'm getting in there.
And if we can go ahead and do a roll call.
Bruno,
Aye.
Doreen,
Aye.
Dustin,
Aye.
Jay,
Aye.
Shannon,
Aye.
Anna,
Aye.
Brad,
Aye.
motion passes.
Okay, the rest is more information, maybe even consensus on 4.4. So if you have to go to another meeting, please do so. Again, thank you for your patience with us, as this is definitely even longer.
We have to do one vote.
What was that?
We have to do one more action. We have more.
I think consensus is fine for the RFP because it's more of
It's a
a,
retroactive.
yeah.
Okay.
And yeah.
Okay.
So the encampment resolution funding, we wanted to move quickly and we wanted to get things out there. The RFP is out there for the encampment resolution funding. We put out 700,000. 400, sorry.
We're setting aside money for the bus. So
We
give
put
us-
$400,000 for safe parking, and it's up now. It will be closing on the 18th. Please review that. We did not bring it back to this board for approval because we wanted to move really quickly on it because time is of the essence to use these funds. The state wants us to use these funds. So looking for just consensus that that's fine to keep moving forward. Or if anybody has a comment to make to please time out, this is not the right way, so on and so forth. Doreen?
Oh, well, just real quick too. There is a encampment resolution fund working group that put this all together. It also went through the Lived Experience Advisory Board for information. So we have the 2 recommendations from them as well as the grant committee. So just to let you know, it was approved by a lot of people to move forward as it is.
Excellent. Moving it forward.
Okay, I'm not hearing any negatives. And thank you, Dustin, and your group for providing the feedback on the safe parking stuff. We implemented some of your comments and appreciate that really much. And by the way, you're on my calendar from now on. I believe it's what, the first Monday or the second Monday of the month that you guys
Second Monday
meet.
of the month.
I'm gonna try to make it as much as I can.
Awesome.
I'm gonna be sending out a meeting invite soon for that.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're good with the RFP. The way that we've split it up, I'm gonna kind of go backwards right now to our monthly financial review. Scott, if you can explain how we split up the total amount that we have, what's on the RFP, what amount have we kind of set aside potentially for buses and other stuff such as outreach and whatnot.
Okay. Lisa, can you pull up the
Encampment resolution
it's the other, not that one, that's the overall one, the one that's in the encampment resolution folder. Yeah. Oh, good job.
If we can make that just a little bit bigger, because the TV's just not that big.
And it's glaring. Thank you.
That's the revised one. What I can't see with you right there. Listen.
Yes, it says revised.
Okay.
It just came up.
So, after some discussion and, within the committee and also with Bruno, we updated the budget to take, funding out of permanent supportive housing and moved it over for, the, what was it, no, safe parking, right?
Right.
Yeah, resolution, sorry, I had to think about that.
Yes,
Which grant are we talking about again?
just because we don't have the housing and we
Right,
can't make
right.
housing with the money that we were given.
Right. That's one of the things I've been saying a lot lately. We just, being a small county, we don't have.
We've had a couple people die in the cars last year, so it is a bigger thing for us to find a safe place where they can be helped.
It's not what we wanted to do with the
Right.
money, but it's the limitations of 1.5 million does not allow us to really build houses. And we really need to push the cities and the county to do their part to make that happen. Or else our continuum of housing is going to be really difficult to make happen.
Appreciate the information with making it based and just as a public comment, I'm just looking towards the future of federal funding for permanent housing, vouchers for chronically homeless individuals disappearing. And the more we can shore up as communities, the better, even though I understand the state of housing.
Our goal was tiny homes and we kind of walked away going, we don't have 3.5 million.
Yeah, I get it. The future is gonna be real rough.
It will be.
So we moved $400,000 for safe parking. We also moved $300,000 to provide those, what Ronnie talked about, those,
Dignity bus.
yeah, that was it.
Yeah, it's a sleeping bus.
Sleeping
They
bus.
have travel buses that go to LA and you can just sleep in a compartment, or they have buses built for sleeping. And so that people can get out of the cold in the winter.
Right, so, seen or heard our mobile showers that we have, this is.
A sleeper. And they have compartments in them and for
It can
their
be
stuff, and then they can sleep, but it's kind of their, and there's different designs, so.
And it can be utilized potentially during an emergency, in case that we need to bring those into there. And it's also our potential solution, because again, we need to look into these things. We haven't purchased one yet. We haven't been quoted specifically if the cost we were told is the correct cost. But the idea is not everybody has a car or a vehicle to come and use safe parking, so we need to provide some level of support within the safe parking. And for us, the safe parking was also that missing component between those out on the streets where they don't really want to go into an institution of sorts. And we're not institutionalized, but it's rules, right? It's not your own freedom and your own decisions. You have to follow certain rules depending what facility you go into. Here, this will help bridge that from the street to the facility and build that connection, because we will still provide wraparound services to the best of our abilities to make sure it's not just a safe parking, it's a start of a relationship.
Any other questions about?
So what's left in the budget then? I can't see the numbers.
Like I said, those are the two biggest things that we did. Was, you can see, safe parking right there, 400,000.
30,000 legal assistance.
That was remained the same.
Our outreach, is it still?
That remained the same.
Because that would be the next thing that maybe that working group might want to think about, if we can get outreach going before the next pit count. That was a big thing that our application was, to identify and count everybody and to build relationships.
So I'm going to ask that we move on to the rest of the financial, please.
Of this or?
No, of the rest, just to show where we're at.
Everyone's good about this, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not seeing questions, and I'm also looking at the time and trying to push us through, so.
Can you put that other sheet back up, Melissa?
Do we have to vote on those changes, or their standard operating stuff?
They're good.
Okay.
This is just the informational report right here of where we are with our spending. This is current as of June in the fiscal year.
So including the 1.5 million from the encampment resolution fund, we have 4.1 million remaining.
Right. The other thing that I think is not in here, it still needs to be put in here, is Melissa's salary over the previous year.
I hope you got paid in the previous year.
Categorizing it.
Okay.
Actually, we pay her all at once, the bonus, you know.
All right. Again, I want to move on. I apologize with the time. We can scrutinize some of these things a little bit better next time. Next is outreach funding discussion. Was that the discussion that Pastor Shannon requested for future pit counts?
No, that was, I sent an email. That's for your resolution people that start working on that piece of it, maybe. Outreach.
My resolution.
Next grant, come out. Spend this money before they take it away from us.
Which grant you talking about?
The encampment resolution for the outreach.
Yeah. And I think, so actually,
that'll help with it.
so in our conversation, in my private conversation with Melissa and Scott, sorry, let me expose, let me make a confession. Behavioral health is going to have some struggles with certain programs. based on funding availability. And one of those programs is the Mobile Crisis Unit, or the Peer Support Center.
It's the peer, it's the outreach van from that is centered from the peer schools.
That's exactly what I was talking about. Thank you. And I feel that the Encampment Resolution Fund has the capability to help fill the gap of something that is absolutely useful for what we do, and that can be dedicated to supporting the void or the potential cuts or whatever the struggles they're having, because our peer support centers aren't refunded or reimbursed for all of their activities. And they're doing a bang up job of being available, accessing, and doing all those things to share the resources that are provided. And this has the ability.
And one of our biggest shortfalls, by the way, is being able to provide like hygiene kits and sack lunches, the things that we have in the past that really help people out. So the funding for that would really helpful.
So that's what I was thinking.
Be easier on everybody. Yeah.
We want to use what's already in existence. We don't want to use something else. And if we find that there's still money left over in outreach, I would suggest that other agencies whose names shall not be named, who already do outreach out there, like Anna does some amazing outreach out there. What can we do to support them with their resources as well? Because again, we need to spend it, and not only do we need to spend it, we need to spend it to get people to utilize the services that are in existence. So,
and what I really want to do with that outreach is address those encampments. Because, I'm going back to the reporting that I have to do for that. I have to report how those encampments, each one of those encampments is feeling, how many people are there, what's, if they're moving on, I have to do, have that kind of reporting so all the outreach workers are doing that, I need them to report back to me.
It would be a lot simpler for you
Of
to
what
have to do
what's
that.
going on with our encampments.
I'm wondering if we could do, I'm just thinking like my pit area has always been Kelsey, and I have those chronic homeless that are there who are my like champions for pit count that bring everybody in. I'm wondering if like sitting down with the type of people to get that information. Right, kind of like a pre-pit.
Well, yeah, it'd be good. It's always good to, our outreach van goes out and locates encampments. But if anyone knows where there's some encampments that, maybe your contacts that exist that we haven't found, that'd be good.
Yeah, like the creek bed, the creek over there in Kilson. Your little caves. Oh, I'm not sure.
Exactly.
So how do we go about doing this so that do we probably just,
I think let's get a proposal from behavioral health of what they would like to request. This is government to government, so we don't need to do an RFP for you guys. What's your request for what you need to ensure that those services continue and we can benefit from those services for the specifics of what we're trying to get done with the
and
ER
maybe we could get some input too from our living experience group
of how to utilize the outreach bus.
funds, so
Yeah,
that
that'd
we
be good.
get some
That'd be-
sort
that'd
of
be great.
advisory board.
That'd be
Is
great.
it gone already?
Get the nod from Dustin. Get the nod from Dustin.
Your group's really good for helping us out, so we're gonna need some more advisory help.
All right, that's
All
what
right.
we're here for.
Nice. Last one is the t-shirt. Melissa, do you have anything for us?
That's this thing. I did print that one off, right?
Oh, and we were thinking pizza too. How can we budget that? Well, we have to look into that. Make a budget for pizza for
So what are you showing me?
This is the t-shirt.
Yes. What's the other thing you're showing me?
This is the
This would
flyer.
be,
Oh.
this would be for the t-shirt, this would be the front. And then this would be the back.
Okay, I'm good with it. If you want to print that, are you printing on white shirts or green shirts with white writing?
I don't know.
Or
Whatever you like.
What was that question pointed to?
All right, let's do a white shirt. Because if we do green, it'll mess up with the logo. you want the logo to stand out.
Yeah.
So I'm good with it as is. It's simple. It does what it needs. And I think your next thing to do is find out who's going to be going to. If you say you're not, if you say you're going, you'll get a T-shirt, and we'll print it out for you. That way we can get the sizes. And if you say you're not going and you show up, sorry, but we may not have a shirt for you.
We didn't actually talk about that today. We should have.
Yeah, September 24th. Be there.
Do you have a
I
list
think I'm
of,
gonna go.
do you have a list of the agencies? that are
Okay,
coming?
well,
This is for the town.
I would love for you to be up on that stage and talk about the services you're providing.
Do you have a list of the agencies that are going to be there?
We need to start collecting all that.
Yeah, because I'm going to get a number of teachers.
So
Speaking
should
of
I
that,
make like a
Scott,
vendor, like a
I
vendor application?
requested the paperwork because you're gonna have to do it.
I'll get the
Because
contract up with Peg and send to you, Melissa.
they're bringing
Okay.
their-
You're gonna have to execute.
And
this
Dustin.
agreement.
But there's some
So
people
for
that answer.
We're gonna want some
They have the
Some of
better
our-
one.
lived
Yeah, I
experience
asked them
folks
for them. I tried to get it.
to speak about their experiences in receiving services, the pros, the cons, the things that have worked, the things that haven't worked. We just, our goal is to talk about the COC and how we get funding and how it, what the funding is used for. Talk from a provider perspective, how they receive the funding and how they provide services and how they outreach to the folks that need services. And then drill it down to the individual and have stories of what their experience has been with these services and what has been good and what has been a struggle for them as they've gone through it. I really want to go from the big picture to the very small picture and put faces on those individuals, on those providers that are there.
Okay, and what, is this an event or what is this?
So this will be September 24th at Soper Reese,
The save the date has gone out.
5:30, and the save the date has been emailed to everybody, so it should be in your email.
Okay.
You should mail it out.
And I believe there was also an article on the Lake Coast News that came out about it, but September 24th, 5:30 PM at Soper Reese, we'd love to get a busload of people that are lived experience. I want lived experiences sitting next to people who have never had those experiences.
Awesome.
So that we can intermix and interact in ways that make us understand that right next to you is just a human being. Like there's no difference between the person at a house and the person not at a house.
Are we meeting in like the 14th or something?
We're meeting every 2 weeks
Every
in order to
2 weeks,
talk
we're
about
meeting
it.
on Thursday, so we'll make sure you get an invite, Dustin.
Yes, please.
Can I invite myself to that table? Oh, gosh, yeah.
Yes, please bring Sage. In fact, we need to start bringing the people that we're gonna want up on stage.
I'm like, I want to know what is going on.
It's
Gonna
actually,
be able to help.
it's actually our strategic planning group.
Okay.
It's originating from, and we're just meeting more often to do this.
I just, yeah, I'm happy to.
I'm about to click the button that says leave. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you,
We've
everybody.
been talking about this for a while. We reported at